What's up, guys? How's it going? MikeTheTech here, and in this video we're gonna do something kind of fun. We're waking up Debbie. Now, before we get started, if you're watching this video, chances are you're not subscribed, because 99% of you are not subscribed, and that's a pretty bad number. So if you like this one, be sure to click on that sub or thanks button below. Speaking of thanks, huge shout out to Miss Mo Davis and Tammy the Psychic. Thank you so much for being channel members. If you want to support the channel and get shout outs in videos like this, click on that join button below. So on to the video itself. Who is Debbie and why are we waking her up? So I've been hearing a lot of talk about new AI models and AI that can be conversational and answer questions and things like that. Now, one thing that's come out of this is people have started using AI models locally. The problem with that is you can't get as large of a data set as you can with a larger GPT model online that's constantly growing and being updated. You would actually have to download all that on your local PC and run it, and it takes a ton of processing power, takes a lot of time to generate a result, and if you tweak it to kind of use a smaller data set and be faster, it just loses a lot of that intelligence and it doesn't have as much information to work with. It can be very conversational, but it might even miss very common things like what's the capital of France or something, or what's the capital of Texas, you know? It can get those things wrong because if that specific piece isn't in the data set, it just isn't going to know it, and it's going to extrapolate and figure out what word would best fit there, and sometimes it's right and sometimes it's wrong. It's weird, right? It's a whole other beast to get into the intricacies of how AI works, but it reminded me of a project that I worked on way back in 2006. I was literally still in high school, just barely going to be graduating soon. And I was working on a data set and language by Dr. Richard S. Wallace. Richard Wallace works with artificial linguistic intelligence, is what it was called before. It was the ALICE framework. And there were a lot of implementations of this. There were implementations in different programming languages like Java and C# and C++ and all these different things. I even exported this to PHP, and that was Philip PHP, but we'll talk about that later. But I wanted to show you my implementation of C-Alice. C-Alice was a project that was open source and a very cool setup, and I had done quite a bit of work on the back end, on the data sets, on the way it works essentially, and even added some interesting effects to it as well, which I can show you. But let's go ahead and take a look at how this works. If I open this, and again, this is from 2006. All right, so let's go ahead and open it up and try it out. It says, wow, you're early today. Good morning, user. This is just a test, isn't it? Ooh, interesting. So, hello. Hello, user. So my name is Mike. Hi, Mike. I know someone else named Mike too. See, so because it knows me, but it also knows that I created it and that person's name is Mike, it's probably why it's saying I know someone else named Mike too. So like, who created you? I was created by he. Who is he? He is Michael A. Rodriguez, I think, and that's me. But I bet she said I think because I didn't create all of it. Definitely used a lot of code. I was still in high school, still learning the code, putting things together. But I definitely learned a lot from Dr. Richard Wallace. I learned a lot from J-Alice. I learned from C-Alice. And eventually I got very, very familiar with the entire AML framework. So this is a conversational bot. Is it perfect? No. But it works, and it works quick, and it can have actual conversational knowledge. What do I mean by knowledge? I mean that instead of having to train it on thousands of things, you can just give it information. So now we can see the whole screen. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of our data sets. What is causing these answers to happen? How does it know what to answer? If we open up the Alice folder, we'll see that we have a bunch of data sets here with generalized information. So if we open up the Brain AML document, you can see some standard responses towards different topics and patterns. So if someone, for example, mentioned AI and anything after AI, one thing that the bot might say is the pace of development in AI is quite rapid now. If only she knew. If someone mentions airplanes, she might add, I like old antique airplanes the best. If someone mentions an album, it'll say like a rock album or a photo album to try and generalize the topic. And you can go in and add any kind of information you want. For example, if I open up lizards.aml and I open this with Visual Studio Code, we can see that it has information about a bunch of lizards. So for example, if someone asks, what do bearded dragons look like? One answer would be, bearded dragons have spikes similar to horny toads, and they're usually brown or yellowish with dark brown or possibly reddish markings. Kind of cool looking in a rugged sort of way. They're very nice and make fun pets. So these are specifically hard-coded answers into the file, and you can expand this however much you'd like. If you want to add a ton of information about presidents, or a ton of information about history or documentation, if you have an app and you want people to be able to use the chatbot to ask about your app, you could input that. It's super dynamic. And you can even go on to the alice.org website and download AML data sets that people have already compiled. So you can just make this super, super smart and give it more and more data. It's a really cool system. It's really efficient, and I think it's really cool. And you can see here we took a little too long because she's getting bored. She says, hello, anybody there? Because we haven't answered in a while. That's kind of funny. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I just remembered this project and I was like, oh, this would be cool to share. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. And as always, have a good one. Peace. Unboxing kudos, we rock that pseudo administrative elevator command. We build it up and break it down in that virtual lab. From conversations to games to interviews with a broader view. He keeps it fresh, always brings something new. It's MikeTheTech, MikeTheTech, the architect. MikeTheTech, yeah. MikeTheTech, the architect.